Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. Hi, we meet again. For today, I'll be talking about writing the research introduction. So this is under topic 1 lesson. So for this topic about writing the research introduction, so this is one of the very basic or foundation components of your research project, because it actually sets the tone, it sets the direction and the context of the entire study. So today we'll be exploring the purpose of the introduction chapter, which also involve the key elements that must be included in writing that particular introduction chapter. Okay, so it's also very important that for you to use the approach of funnel or funnel approach to structure your writing so that it sounds logic and clear. Okay, so the purpose of research introduction, it works as a orient to the reader. So it helps the reader to understand the broader landscape of your topic before narrowing it down to the specific research issue that you wanted to investigate. So a strong introduction, able to explain why the study matters, how it fits within a real world or theoretical context, and what motivates the researcher to explore this issue. So in essence, the introduction is a roadmap, okay, that prepares the reader for everything that comes next. Okay, so a well-developed introduction consists of several important elements. Okay, first thing, you need to begin with the background of the study, where you introduce the broader area of interest. Next, you should be able to articulate the problem statement, in which this is the heart of the introduction, because it specifies what issue needs to be investigated. So from this, you will derive on the research question and research objective, which clearly will outline what your study aims to answer or to achieve. So then you should be able to identify the scope in which it will clarify what your study will and will not cover, followed by explaining the significance, which highlight the value of your findings. And finally, you should include the definition of key terms and a brief chapter summary. So altogether, these parts will be able to build a strong and a logic introduction. So one of the most effective writing strategies for the introduction is the funnel approach. Okay, think of your writing as a funnel. You start very broad, you explain the general topic or global trends relevant to your study. So then you will narrow it down to regional or national context, and eventually it should direct towards a specific sector or industry or community that you are focusing into. As you're narrowing down the discussion, you should be able to build a bridge between what is generally known and what is specifically problematic. And finally, you should be able to present the research problem, which is the narrowest point of the funnel. And this approach creates a very smooth and logical flow for the reader, in which this will guide the reader from a wide perspective into the exact issue that your research is addressing. Okay, so this is a sample of how the funnel approach works. Okay, so you begin with a broad topic. Okay, for instance, let's take a global online shopping trend as an example. So next, you narrow down the discussion on how e-commerce is rising, specifically in Malaysia. Then you move further to a specific industry. Let's say local fashion, e-commerce brand. Okay, local fashion that is available on e-commerce. And finally, you should identify a focused research problem, such as uncertainty about how product quality affect consumer purchase intention. By following this narrowing pattern, your introduction becomes coherent, progressive, and persuasive. When writing the background of the study, start with discussing the general trend or the broad issues within your research area. You may support this with facts, statistic, or previous research, or in short, I call it facts and figure. As you move forward, gradually tighten your focus by introducing more specific insights. So each paragraph should bring the reader closer to your exact research concern, which creating a logical flow that ends by pointing towards the problem statement. So this section must show that the issue is real, relevant, and worth to be investigated. So the problem statement is, very critical part of your introduction. So this is where you identify what is missing, what is unclear, or consider problem in the current situation or knowledge base. So a strong problem statement must be concise but insightful. It should explain what the issue is, why it is an issue, and what might happen, if the issue remains unresolved. So ultimately, it justifies why your study needs to be conducted. So from this problem statement, your research question and research objective emerge naturally. Okay, research question and research objective must directly support the problem statement. Okay, that you should remember. Your questions describe what you want to explore or to understand, while the objective outline what is the plan that you wanted to accomplish. So both need to be clear. It needs to be something measurable, achievable within your time frame and within the available resources that you have. Consistently, it should be aligned with the problem statement. It should be aligned with the research question and, of course, the research objective, which is considered as the essential for the overall credibility of your research. The significance of a study explains the value it brings theoretically and practically. Okay, so you might be wondering, who would benefit from the findings? How does the research close the gap? What can stakeholder gain out of this study? The scope, or on the other hand, uh, classify the boundaries of your study. So it should guide you as a researcher to specify the population that you wanted to study, the variables you are focusing, and is there any limitation you wish to acknowledge upfront. So together, this section help to manage reader expectation and also to ensure clarity. Okay, and the last part, which is the chapter summary, it should wrap up everything that has been introduced in chapter 1. It briefly restates the background, the problem, the research question, and the significance. So this summary acts as a transition, preparing the reader for the next chapter, which is the literature review, where you as the researcher will be examining the existing research in more depth. Okay, so as a conclusion, I would like to stress on that the introduction sets the foundation of the study, so in which you must include the final approach for clarity. You should able to develop strong problem statement and to write a clear objective, strengthening the research direction. Okay, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next or other videos that I'll be sharing for this lesson. Bye.